Okay, we ready?
Yeah,
I think
attendees
so.
are starting to join. You might want to give it a
I'll give it a couple
15
minutes.
seconds, 20 seconds. Yeah.
Nothing worse than locking yourself out of the office. I've been there.
I think it's getting used to being back in the office.
Right.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, Leo made it. Good.
We now have 6 and Dawn will make it 7.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
I'll go ahead and get started then. Call the meeting to order and note that we are meeting remotely pursuant to Assembly Bill 361 and Executive Order N-1-22. Campbell, would you like to give the instructions for people joining us by Zoom?
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Just so everybody knows that board members and staff and presenters all have the ability to unmute themselves. Please do stay muted if you're not talking. If you are a member of the public, you need to go and we would welcome your comments at recognized times. On the Zoom platform, you will need to go to the bottom of the page to the participants button, and you'll see there that you can raise your hand. And the host will be monitoring and will unmute you at the time, and you'll be able to make your comment. If you're on the phone as a public member, you would need to hit #2 to raise your hand, and the host will unmute you, but note also that you may need to unmute your phone at that point as well. We will also be monitoring contact@deltaconservancy.ca.gov. And if you have a comment or a technical issue, you can send a note there and we will be monitoring that. In just a second, I'm going to ask Jessica to do a roll call vote of the voting members and recognize ex officio, but I did want to just note one item on the agenda that we're going to pull from the agenda today. It's item 13, and it was an amendment for a Proposition 1 project, the Delta Working Waterways project. There's just some issues that came up at the very last minute on that one. We've notified the applicant and we will be bringing that to the board at the May meeting. So just want to let everybody know that we'll be pulling that item. So with that, Jessica, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. Chair Natoli is not in yet. Vice Chair Matsumoto is absent. Supervisor Mitchoff. Supervisor Burgess was going to come, so I don't know what happened there. So no. Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Hi. Supervisor Mashburn.
Here.
And Supervisor Provenza.
Here.
And Gail Miller.
Here.
Brian Cash.
Here.
And Board Member Winternitz. Leo. Here. And Board Member Sandoval is absent.
Give me a second.
Okay,
Looks like Supervisor Burgess joined as an attendee, so I'm going to promote to panelist.
Okay, let's see if we can get her. Supervisor Burgess?
Yes, I've been here. I've been waving.
Oh.
So yes,
On
I'm here.
video.
Sorry about that. I had the
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. And we have you noted as here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we have a quorum.
Liaison advisors, any and
I'm
and
so
ex officio.
sorry. Look at me. I see so far that we have Steve Chappelle, Moira McKinney, Eric Fink, Jim Waters. Is there others that I missed? Okay, welcome. And then Nicole Rinke is here for our council. Okay, should be good.
Oh, thank you. Do we have a quorum now? Are we still short? We do have a quorum. Okay, good. At this point, we will go to, I should ask, do you have any introductions, Campbell?
I'm going to do some introductions on the executive officer's report. So I think we're at number 3, public comment.
Okay, good. So at this point, I will take public comment. Are there any members of the public who would like to comment?
No hands raised currently. Just a
Okay,
reminder,
no.
use the raise a hands function on Zoom or press #2 if you've dialed in, but currently no hands raised.
And currently no emails in.
Okay, so we will move on from public comment. Next item is the consent calendar, which is the approval of the January 26th, 2022 board meeting summary and action items. Are there any questions or corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Move approval.
Second by Miller.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Chair Natoli.
Aye. Morning, Jim.
Good morning.
Supervisor Burgess,
Burgess, yes.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
Supervisor Mashburn,
Yes.
Supervisor Provenza,
Yes.
Board Member Miller. Gail.
Yes.
Board Member Cash
Yes.
and Board Member Winternitz.
Yes.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ayes. The motion carries.
Thank you. I will now return the virtual gavel to our chair, Mr. Natoli.
Well, thanks, Jim. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for my late arrival, but Jim had it well in hand, as did all of you. So with that, then we'll go to the executive officer report. Campbell, you're up.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Good morning again. All right, I'm going to start with our staffing update. Sorry. Okay. We have a couple new hires we get to introduce, which is always exciting. I want to welcome Chelsea Martinez. She is our new grant and contact analyst, and she's been with us since March 7th. She'll be focusing, of course, on grants and contract agreements and administration. And she's coming to us from the Yolo Basin Foundation in Davis, where she was that group's deputy director prior to joining us. Lucky for Chelsea, she had a vacation pre-scheduled, so she's off having fun today. So we won't get a chance to have her say hello. Next up is Trevor Fox. Trevor is our new environmental scientist, and he started with Conservancy on the 2nd of this month. He'll be implementing and managing Proposition 1 projects, as well as other ecological studies related to our mission. And Trevor comes to us from Arizona State University, where he studied climate change related impacts on insect populations for his PhD in biology. So, Trevor, you want to say a quick hello so people can see who you are?
Hey, happy to be here. It's nice to meet all of you.
Great, thanks, Trevor. We're delighted to have you. All right, sadly, we have to say goodbye to Shelley Temple King. You all remember Shelley as environmental scientist and the lead for the Proposition 1 grant program. She was with the Conservancy for a little over a year, and she's accepted a promotion to a senior environmental scientist position with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So Shelley did a fantastic job of managing the Prop 1 program, and we're going to miss her. One more announcement. In January, we gave you the bittersweet news that Deborah Kustik is retiring. Good for her, bad for us. But just to give you an update, she's going to be with us full-time for the rest of the month, just next week, and then she's going to go on half-time through the end of June, and that will allow us to have a nice overlap with her replacement, and we greatly appreciate Deborah's willingness to do that. We will begin recruitment soon, and in doing that, I will also be reaching out to the board members. It would be good to get a board member on the interview panel like we've done historically. So I'll be reaching out sometime soon. Deborah, did you want to say anything or?
No, not necessarily. I mean, yeah.
We'll probably say our official goodbyes at the May meeting. So thank you.
I will be very busy between now and then.
All right, so moving on, I wanted to do a couple items on the COVID update. First is that we have indicated that our first in-person staff meeting will likely be on May 2nd. So that will sort of be our official return to work day. That's the expectation. These processes take several steps of notifications to unions and other things, but that's our anticipated back to work day. Teleworking will still be a significant part of our operation, just to reap all the benefits of reduced carbon footprint, reduced traffic, and improved quality of life, but we will be back in the office, and we're all looking forward to that first meeting and actually seeing each other across the table. Similarly, our next board meeting in May will be a hybrid meeting with an in-person option. We're trying to essentially tech up to make sure that we have what we need to have an effective hybrid meeting where there'll be remote participation and in-person participation. That's been a little bit challenging to try to get the technology. So the May meeting at minimum will have a phone-in option for both the public as well as board members. So a reminder that to comply with the Bagley-Keene Act, if you are a voting member and you want to participate remotely, and we'll provide all this information again before the board meeting, we will need to post the location from where you are calling in on the agenda 10 days before the meeting, and that will have to be a publicly accessible location. So again, we'll talk about this again before and make all this clear. There are two bills that are working their way through the legislature that may have an effect on that, but we have no idea what their fate will be, and it's very doubtful that either will come to fruition before our May meeting. So, all right, moving on. Form 700. The due date is April 1st. I think most of them are in. If you have any questions or have not provided yours, please reach out to Jessica Adel on staff. I feel like I'm racing through this, so do interrupt if you have questions. I'm going to skip down to the nutria eradication report. The report is in the packet. Just a quick word, if you look, the numbers are actually looking good. It's a nice indication that our effort is helping to control this population. If you look at the numbers for 2021 and 22, it looks a little deceptive. It looks like maybe we've knocked the population down, but we are only in the third month of 2022. So, but still the numbers are trending in the right direction. Next up, I'm just gonna just mention the Delta Science Program efforts, the fish-friendly farming, the Delta Aquatic Resource Inventory, the Delta Bird Returns, and the Delta Science Coordination. There's a great deal of information there. If you've got any questions, we're happy to respond to those questions. Those programs are moving along. And those are the programs that we report here because they're not incorporated into the other programs with larger updates.
So I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So on the fish-friendly farming, the Delta, is it the intent to enroll all agricultural lands in the Delta? To this?
No, the target is at 10,000 acres for this program.
Okay.
I think ideally it would be great if we could do more. It's a great program that actually helps them with their compliance requirements at low and no cost. But the target for the project itself is 10,000 acres enrolled.
All right, and then if you get Metropolitan Water District and TNC on board, you should be able to quickly meet that target.
We've definitely reached out to both of them, and I know that they're interested. Again, it's just something new for agricultural interest in the Delta, but ultimately it does provide services to help you comply with your irrigated lands program, and so we're working on people to get them to enroll.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the last item in the program report is the directives from the January meeting. The first directive was a request, and that was that we would provide the Delta Drought Response Pilot Program solicitation to the county supervisors, which was done later that week. There was a longstanding request to provide an update on Delta carbon management activity. We simply didn't have the capacity to get that done for this board meeting, but we will try to do that for the May meeting. And then third was to invite grantees to share presentations on ongoing and completed projects. That's still a priority, and we're actually hopeful that now that things seem to be improving in the COVID space, that we might be able to get out into this field, probably not at the May meeting because we'll have quite a bit to cover at the May meeting. All right, if there are no questions on the program aspect of the executive officer report, I will turn it over to Jessica to do the budget.
Real quickly with my board liaison hat on before I put on my fiscal hat, I wanted to welcome Jessica Davenport, another liaison advisor that snuck in. Hi. The Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta Conservancy Budget and Expenditure Report is agenda item 5.3. It is through our second quarter, so it's through December 31st. This report reflects all of both of our new programs, so that's a first for you guys to see this year. So we've got some big changes. Most notably in our grants and subventions line item, and that's line 24. Whereas in the previous report, it was 146,000. Now it's 13,133,500. So it's significant. And that number reflects our new Delta drought response, $8 million in grants. Our new climate access and restoration has 4,987,500 in grants. And previously the Prop 68 had 146,000. So that's a big lift for us, and we have been working really hard and really proud of us for getting all that on board. Just one other large change on line 12, also in reflection of the DRIP program, our contracts and personal services reflect $1,600,000 of the UCD contract for monitoring for the DRIP program. So our budget is increased dramatically. As you know, we're 50%. This reflects just 50% of our year. We're percent of budget expended a little bit short. Some of that in personal services is just some vacancies that we've been filling quickly. And as usual, it takes a while for people to start billing us. So our percent of expenditures is a little short, but as the year goes on, it will increase and hopefully be used up. Is there any other questions about the budget?
All right, well, thank you. That concludes the executive officer's report.
Great, thanks, Campbell. Thanks, Jessica, and certainly welcome to Kelsey and Trevor, and certainly congratulations to those folks who have been with us, who will be moving on. We'll get a chance to, as Campbell said, recognize Deborah. Again, thanks to all. Any questions regarding anything that was reported on? All okay. Thanks again, Campbell. Thanks, Jessica. All right, we moved into item 6 then, which is the Delta Conservancy 2021 implementation plan status update. And Deborah has this, and there were attachments in the agenda as well. So Deborah, go ahead.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So each January, we typically present an end of year status update for the prior year's implementation plan. And as part of that same item, we also present for board consideration the implementation plan for the current year. This year, though, in order to reflect the 22 to 27 strategic plan, which was adopted in January, we moved this implementation plan item to the March board meeting. And today we are presenting the 2021 end of year update. However, due to the perfect storm of vacancies and implementation of new time urgent initiatives, which you've heard a little bit about already, they've really required our focus. And so we will be presenting the 2022 implementation plan in May. So that will give us a chance to really incorporate everything we need to. And we appreciate your patience and understanding in that regard. So regarding the goals that we set for 2021, I feel like we've actually done quite well. So a few of the goals you'll see in the report. I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing, but you'll see a few of them were designated as inactive for 2021, and that's primarily due to COVID restrictions that were beyond our control. For instance, the waterway cleanup programs that happen in person just simply didn't happen. But we're looking forward to things like that opening up in the future year. So some of our goals were end of the year in a delayed status, and while about 12% of them, and while that may seem like a lot, I would like to take just a minute to put that in context. So as Jessica mentioned, we received $10 million of emergency drought relief funding through our interagency agreement with Department of Water Resources. We signed that agreement. Now, granted, we worked on it a little bit before we signed the agreement, but we signed that agreement January 10th. And in the 2 months since, we have approved essentially all of the $8 million of that was designated for grants. And the drought response projects are already underway. So there was an urgency to that so that we could enable farmers to take actions now that address the drought and inform actions that we will potentially need to take as we continue to see even, continued drought and potentially even more critical shortages in the coming years. We also received the $5.25 million for community access, resilience, climate, and natural resource protection. And we're currently working on developing several projects under that. And I'm happy to report that the very first one of those was actually executed yesterday. And then, as mentioned, we were down in our most important resource, staffing, with approximately 29% of our positions vacant at a given time, since we lost staff due to things like promotions, returning to educational pursuits, moving out of state, and some staff that were just seeking a change. So that's a lot. And presenting this item today actually gives us a chance to pick up our heads from the work we've been so focused on doing and see the progress that we've actually made. As an organization, we are collectively really proud of the work we're doing and on those fronts. And as the Conservancy's deputy, I'm really personally proud of each and every single one of the staff on our team that has made this possible. And I just really don't share that enough and just want to emphasize that today. However, adding all of our urgent work meant that with our limited staffing being stretched, meant that we just had to do some triaging. So overall, the delays were minimal, and considering the achievements and challenges we faced, I think we did quite well. We welcome Chelsea and Trevor. We're continuing to staff up in other areas, and the things that were delayed are important, and we will place emphasis on completing those in our 2022 plan. So looking forward to the 2022 plan, I want to let you know about a few enhancements that you can expect to see. So for each item in the implementation plan, we will be referencing the relevant strategic plan goals and objectives so that you can really make that direct link between what we've set out in our larger plan and then the annual implementation plan. So you can see, how we're incrementally working toward those larger goals and objectives. And then we will also begin presenting our updates more consistently with how they're organized in the implementation plan. So for instance, we typically give a Prop 1 update and a Prop 68 update, but in our implementation plan, they're rolled into larger headers. So you'll be seeing that presented more consistently. And so in the future, for instance, we'll present something such as a community and economic enhancement program update, which would encompass our efforts in that area, all our efforts in that area, rather than focusing specifically on the funding sources. So as our funding becomes more diversified, we believe this will present a more holistic view of the work we're doing, and then shift the focus from the funding sources to the overall work that we're doing and the objectives we're trying to achieve. So we think that will make it a little bit more clear and give you the large picture of what we're doing overall. So with that, Campbell, if there's anything you'd like to add, please do. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
No, I appreciate that, Deborah. I appreciate you conveying our thanks to everyone for all the hard work and under trying circumstances.
Thanks, Deborah. Let me go to servicing members. Any questions or comments?
And I just would like to say congratulations for a successful year. I think a lot has been done. So thanks to the staff.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Thanks, Deborah. Appreciate your update of that. And I concur with Leo that certainly, there's been a lot of work underway and a number of accomplishments. And the fact that the one agreement was just signed yesterday, that's, progress continues on different fronts. So, thanks. All right. I need to ask if there's any public comment. I'm sorry, Jessica, too. Has there been any, if there's any public comment, call my attention to it, please. I should have called for that on the previous item as well.
No public comment.
And no hands have been raised either.
Oh, okay, great. Sorry. Okay. Got folks looking out for us. So, okay, great. All right. Then we'll keep moving down our agenda. We're back next to the Prop 1 Ecosystem Restoration and Water Quality Grant Program update. And Dr. Lesmeister. Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started on this. So my name is Sarah Lesmeister. I am the Ecological and Community Programs Manager at the Delta Conservancy. I'm filling in this role today while we onboard Trevor and we backfill Shelley Temple King's position. We anticipate having Trevor provide the Proposition 1 update at the May board meeting. So today I will highlight a few of our current Proposition 1 projects, and then at the end provide an update on our Cycle 5 solicitation. As always, we've provided a complete program update in the board material packet. So first, on page 2 of the agenda item, which is board packet page number 22, we have project ID 1804, Delta Waterways Habitat Restoration. As Campbell noted at the beginning of this meeting, they submitted an amendment request. We're going to push that amendment request to the May board meeting so we can work on a couple things on our end. On page 3 of the agenda item, which is board packet page 23, I want to highlight Marsh Creek Restoration, a Cycle 4 funded planning project, which has project ID 1809. They have withdrawn their proposal or their application following the sale of the property and uncertainty regarding the land owner support. The funds associated with this project, which is a little over $500,000, will be made available for ecosystem restoration and water quality grant projects. For example, considering adding it to or likely adding it to the Cycle 5 funding pot. I will share more about the Cycle 5 at the end of this update. So on top of the Proposition 1 staff report, which is page 4 of the agenda item, board packet page 24, I want to highlight 2 of the Nutria projects, project IDs 1718 and 1813. At the time of writing this report, the grantee, which is California Department of Fish and Wildlife, has requested an amendment that impacts both of these projects. This amendment removes deliverables associated with the Nutria detector dogs from project ID 1718 and adds the Nutria detector dogs to project ID 1813. This shift will allow project 1718 to close on time next month, and thereby leaving only one Nutria grant agreement for the Conservancy and Department of Fish and Wildlife. This will really improve and make more efficient grant management for both parties. So staff are actively processing the amendment request, and we'll provide an update at the May board meeting. So at the top, the next one I want to highlight project ID 1702, which is page 5 of the agenda item, board packet page 25. We have River Garden Farms by the grantee American Rivers. We are working with a grantee to apply for a CEQA exemption for one of their riparian restoration sites through a new statutory exemption for restoration projects called CERP. The implementation phase of this riparian restoration project has been awarded conditional funding from the Wildlife Conservation Board. And so we are seeing if CDFW concurs that the project qualifies for the statutory exemption, we will bring a resolution before our board here at the or at an upcoming board meeting. Next up, I want to highlight on page 8 of the agenda item, board packet page 28. We have an update to the project titled Wildlife Corridors for the Flood Escape on the Yellow Bypass, project ID 1516 by the grantee Yellow Resource Conservation District. At the end of January, the Conservancy staff executed an amendment to the agreement that extended the term of the agreement from May to December of this year. In early March, the grantee requested another amendment to this grant to shift funds between line item categories. We are working with the grantee to evaluate the request and determine if it is necessary for the project's success. On pages 9 through 11 of the agenda item, I want to highlight the projects that have closed. To date, we have 9 Proposition 1 projects that have fully closed, and then 2 more that are in the closeout process. Those are project IDs 1503 and 1509. Final reports are available for review by emailing the Prop 1 grants email as noted in the board materials. So now I want to go on to our Cycle 5 update. So On page 14 of the agenda item, board packet page 34, we have a summary of the cycle 5 full proposals. Currently, there are 7 full proposals for consideration of award. External reviews for each proposal have been completed, and Conservancy staff are reviewing feedback from our partners. As stated in prior board meetings, the request for cycle 5 funding exceeds the funding available. As a result, staff are evaluating current Proposition 1 budget numbers and alternative funding sources in preparation for award recommendations. As we've discussed already in several of the other agenda items, as part of the Budget Act of 2021, the Conservancy received a general fund allocation for climate access and restoration and natural resource protection, which we have nicknamed CAR funding. We received, approximately $5.25 million to support multi-benefit projects in the Delta. And fortunately, many of the projects that are already in the Conservancy's queue are ideally suited to be supported by the CAR funding. This new funding source has the potential to positively impact not only Proposition 1 projects, but also Proposition 68 projects. One point that's interesting here for the CAR funding is that because it's general fund allocation, it has a shorter encumbrance period. So we are considering how we can leverage that funding with our Proposition funding to make these projects successful long-term. As we discuss this alternative funding source, we do not anticipate any changes to the competitive nature of the funding. Project proposals proceed through the internal external reviews as in Proposition 1 or Proposition 68 programs. From the grantees or the applicant's perspective, there are no major changes. It will just be how we process the projects internally. But by leveraging the CAR funding with Proposition 1 and Proposition 68, it extends our more stable bond funds to support staff in these projects long-term. So as you guys are aware, we anticipate bringing staff recommendations to the board in the coming months for both Cycle 5 Proposition 1 funding and also CAR funding. So I just shared a whole bunch of new information. I'll pause and answer any questions.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. Board members, questions? Sure. Very good, Sarah.
Thank you.
Covered it well, so thank you. More to come, obviously, so. Okay, any public comments?
No public comment.
Very good. All right, then again, thanks for all the continuing good work on our restoration projects, and get more information and certainly more to consider with the next cycle in the months to come. All right, then we'll move down to item 8, which is Proposition 68, Community and Economic Enhancement Grant Program Update. Martha.
Good morning, board members. My name is Martha Ozenoff, and I'm the Community Projects Supervisor. I'm here to present Agenda Item 8, the Proposition 68 Community and Economic Enhancement Grant Program Update, which is on page 36 of your agenda pack. Currently, we have 4 executed projects. Project ID P6804, a planning grant with the City of Pittsburgh, P6803, a planning grant with the City of West Sacramento, and P6811, an implementation grant with the Delta Educational Cultural Society. Additionally, as Sarah mentioned during her Proposition 1 update, the next grant, Project ID CAR 01 with the Pacific Flyway Fund, is the first of the multi-benefit projects that will shift funding for Proposition 68 to the General Fund allocation for Climate Access, Resiliency, and Natural Resource Protection, or CAR Fund. From an efficiency standpoint, given the shorter time frame to encumber and spend CAR funds, the timing for the execution of this grant was well suited to shift between 2 funds, therefore freeing up additional Proposition 68 funds for other projects. For more details on these 4 active projects, please see pages 36 and 37 of your agenda packet and pages 1 and 2 of the agenda item attachment. Also, as indicated in the staff report, we have 1 approved project that is yet to be executed. Project ID P6802, an acquisition grant with the Friends of the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse. Our hope is to have this grant executed by mid-April. For more details about this project, please see the table at the top of page 28 of the agenda packet, page 3 of the agenda item attachment. In addition to these projects, we have 5 working proposals, 3 of which are before the board today. Given that, I'll focus time on the two additional proposals. Project ID P6808, a proposal with the County of Sacramento for a planning grant for 2 gateway monuments and additional interpretive signage in the community of Freeport. And the last proposal is an implementation project with the City of West Sacramento to build out the public access project at Bees Lakes. This multi-benefit project will pull from previous applications to both Proposition 1 and Proposition 68, combining into one larger proposal that, pending board approval, will use CAR funding. Details about these proposals can be found on page 38 of the packet, page 3 of the attachment. We look forward to bringing these 2 proposals to you in the coming months. Given all that we just talked about rather quickly, I'd like to pause here to see if you have any questions about the discussed project.
Martha, this is Chairman Tolley. I just wanted to ask you about the Freeport Gateway signage. You anticipate bringing that to us in May? I know that I've been talking with folks who are very anxious to continue to pursue it, and
we do anticipate bringing it in May. So I was trying to be coy, but yes, May is we have a very detailed timeline for which they need to sort of hit different levels of review in order to get it to May, and we're on track for that. So, and the applicant has been very receptive to our questions, and really excellent to work with. So we're meeting with them next week to continue to move the project.
Well, thanks for your work, and I know we had to get some kind of renewed energy on our side of it, and with staff people that are assigned to it. Yeah, and so I understand it's been, it didn't get the attention that it needed early on, certainly in our organization.
It's an interesting project, so it'll be fun to bring it to folks.
Yeah, good. Okay, looking forward to it. Great. Okay, good. All right, Ms. Provenza, Jim, go ahead. Jim, get your hand up. Go ahead. You're on mute though.
I'm sorry. There we go. I just wanted to ask about the Delta, the Clarksburg Schoolhouse and Delta Welcome Center. It looks like that's on track to come back.
Yeah, it's
soon.
actually up for board review or approval in 3 agenda items. So yeah.
Okay, so we'll be coming back to that. Okay, great.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that at length, and then the board will be voting.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions for Martha at this junction? Any other hands, Martha? Any public comment?
Yeah.
No public comment.
Okay, good. Thanks, Hope. Okay, Martha, go ahead.
So lastly, before I finish this agenda item, I wanted to briefly mention that since our last meeting, we implemented a new SDAC policy at the Conservancy. As you'll recall, Proposition 68 requires that 20% of bond funds be spent on projects located in or serving severely disadvantaged communities, also known as SDACs. While determining if a project is located in an SDAC is straightforward, determining if a project serves an SDAC is more subjective. So based on feedback from the California Natural Resources Agency Bond Office, we have designated a new SDAC policy that states that a project is SDAC eligible if it is located within 1 mile of an SDAC, or if the applicant can directly demonstrate that the project serves an SDAC through letters of support from the jurisdictions the projects serve. Based on this more robust definition, we now have determined that 54% of the active, awarded, or requested projects qualify for SDAC designation. With that, that's my end of my report, and I'm happy to take questions on the new SDAC policy or anything else that my folks have on their mind.
Okay, good. Thanks, Martha. Any other questions or any questions? Seeing none. Very good. We're going to see you back in just a few minutes with several projects. So good. Thanks, Martha. Appreciate the update. And with that, then, if we have no public comment, we'll go forward to item number 9. And that's our Delta Drought Response Pilot Program update. Campbell, I know you've been working hard along with staff on this, so go ahead.
We have indeed, so thank you. It's an honor to be able to report on this program. It's really been an exceptionally successful program. It's resulted in much stronger partnership with the Delta farming community, significant water savings, and it will result in a better understanding of viable water conservation practices that we can employ in this drought and in the future droughts. You'll recall that the program was paying farmers $900 per enrolled acre to implement practices that reduce consumptive use of water. to improve water quality and ecological conditions in the Delta. Between January 19th and March 4th, just in the span of a little over 2 months, the program received 85 proposals. We approved 35 projects, which enrolled over 8,800 acres with an estimated water savings of 22,000 acre feet and expending all of the available funds. Funded projects include a wide variety of practices that were well distributed throughout the legal Delta. I think, James, were you going to throw up a map?
I don't believe I was given a map.
Oh, sorry, I thought. Okay, sorry, I thought we had one teed up. Never mind. We do have a nice map for the program that just shows all the polygons through a nice distribution throughout the Delta of projects, as well as a nice distribution of practices. The most common practices were foregoing planting of a corn crop or tomatoes this growing season, and instead planting non-irrigated small grains that would allow farmers to have some level of commodity at a reduced from corn or tomatoes, but also protect the soil. There were also projects that discontinued irrigation of alfalfa, and also projects that discontinued irrigation of pasture. And then we had one project that was installed drip tape as a more efficient way to distribute water across the landscape. So all this will be paired with extensive monitoring, both remote monitoring through Open ET, which is open evapotranspiration, as well as more extensive monitoring with University of California, Davis. And the expectation is that all that information will be open and transparent data. There will be a report that comes out that helps us all really better understand which of these practices are most effective in which geographies, and how do we think about a program like this in the future. Sadly, we can anticipate that next year will be dry. And so the expectation is that there may be funding available to continue this program next year. We won't know that for a while, but if that comes to fruition, we will do a collective post-mortem with the group and think about how we can improve the program and how we would initiate it for next year and when. So the selection committee and staff are currently working to execute grant agreements. As of this morning, Hope sent me another one that makes 20 grant agreements already executed. And I want to just take a few minutes to put out some thanks to everyone. So first, the Delta community, our sister agencies, DWR, the Water Master, all worked together to design this program. And working with the community is one of the reasons that there was a lot of interest and it was very effective. The selection committee, who I've described before, had a great participation from a wide variety of experts, and they really went above and beyond due to the compressed timeline. They actually interacted with each of the applicants to refine the information, and then subsequently have interacted with the applicants to develop the draft grant agreements to facilitate the execution of those. I want to thank Chair Natoli and Vice Chair Matsumoto, who just really rose to the occasion in approving these grants. And you'll recall that we utilized the clause within our delegation of authority so that time-sensitive projects could be approved by the chair and vice chair. The selection panel met every Friday, and we sent batches of these to the chair and vice chair, and they very quickly approved those projects, and we greatly appreciate their doing that. All of the Delta Conservancy staff, many of the Delta Conservancy staff were involved, but Hope Miller just deserves a special shout out. Hope, as you will remember, we introduced Hope at the January board meeting. Hope really stepped in and just was the hero behind the scenes. She helped organize all the proposals and helped tee them up for the selection committee. And she's just done amazing work in the follow-up and executing these grant agreements, taking the draft grant agreements, finalizing them and executing them. So the program would not have run without Hope. So deep appreciation for Hope. She's done an excellent job. So overall, it's been an amazing collaboration and really quite impressive to stand up a state program and run through it that quickly. I don't know if we've set a record here, but yeah, it's been a good one. I have a few last comments, but I'll just pause there for any questions or thoughts.
Thanks, Campbell. Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
Campbell, the map is in our board packet.
Okay,
It's page 43 of the whole packet, agenda item 9.1 at the end of your report, and it is
Right.
quite impressive. Thank you.
thanks.
Great, thanks, Jessica. Yeah, Jim, go ahead.
Yes, a question. Congratulations, first of all, on getting this done so efficiently and quickly, getting the money out there. Is there, I don't see in my materials a list. I do see the map, but is there a list of projects?
We don't have one in the materials, but we absolutely will have that out. We're still finalizing the maps and the polygons, but yes, we can provide a list. It's not in the materials currently.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, Campbell, go ahead.
Yeah, so just one more thing, and it kind of tees off of what Deborah mentioned earlier too. You know, you've just gotten a report on the implementation plan for 2021, updates on the Proposition 1 program, Proposition 68 program, and the CAR funding. I just think we need to take a minute to kind of recognize our collective impact. This represents now $77 million of available funding for Delta projects. We're currently managing 72 grants, and this is all doing amazing work out there on the Delta landscape, from ecosystem restoration and economic development projects, drought response, and more climate work in the future. So I just think it's nice to sit back and take stock and think of how working with the board, staff, and the community, we are achieving something really significant. And so just a good time to notice that. So appreciate everyone's work.
Great, Campbell. Well, and likewise, kudos to you. Obviously, you've been integral to all this, and I know you've been very gracious in recognizing all the folks who have been a part of this. But thank you too for your good work, and appreciate all the work of our staff, certainly at the Conservancy, but all the partners. But again, kudos, and it's a lot of juggling when it comes to administering, but certainly accepting proposals and then meeting all the requirements and still getting the work achieved through the proposals. So at any rate, congratulations again. Thank you, to Hope, and to others on the staff for your efforts. All right, any comments by board members? See no hands. Any public comment on this item? Hope?
No public comment.
Okay, very good. Well, I know we'll continue to hear updates in the months ahead as the measuring goes on, but certainly looks like we're going to have a dry year when we're having 80-degree days in the middle of March. So be, I think, a big boost to some of the efforts that address the drought in this year particularly. So, all right, let's then move down to item 10, and I think Martha has the next 3 items on the agenda, so we'll go through those, and these are action items as I understand it. So we'll take item 10, which is the consideration of the award of the Prop 68 Community Economic Enhancement Grant for the Isleton Museum in the Bing Kong Tong building. So Martha, I'll let you lead this one off. Go ahead.
Wonderful. I'm so excited to be following Campbell's really good update about what we've been doing at the Conservancy, and I've got 3 projects that I'd like to bring to you for consideration. The first one is the board consideration of a recommendation to award Proposition 68 funding for the Isleton Museum in the Bing Kong Tong building. This agenda item can be found on page 44 of your agenda packet. Conservancy staff recommends that the board approve up to $44,500 in grant funding for this project, the purpose of which is to purchase and install museum quality display cases for housing historic and cultural items in the Isleton Museum, located in the renovated Bing Kong Tong building. The Isleton Museum is not a project for CEQA purposes. Furthermore, this project is located in a severely disadvantaged community. Lastly, although the Isleton Museum will technically not contribute cost share, it is important to notice that the organization has secured considerable commitments of time, labor, donations, and support for the project. The project also draws significant community support, as evidenced by letters from Isleton Elementary School, the Isleton Chamber of Commerce, California Preservation Foundation, and others. Our staff is very pleased to recommend this project for board approval, noting that there's some suggested language at the bottom of the agenda item for your consideration. But before we proceed, I'm happy to take any comments or questions.
Okay, any questions at this juncture? No hands, go ahead.
Okay. Would you like me to read the suggested motion, or would somebody like to read it on their own?
Yeah, if you want to just go ahead and put it into the record, and then we can take, take
Okay, very happy to do that. Suggested motion language: move to award funding up to $44,500 to the Isleton Museum from the Proposition 68 Community and Economic Enhancement Grant Program for the Isleton Museum and the Bing Kong Tong Building Project.
Okay, we have a suggested motion, and I would just note before I call for any public comment and a motion, Bing Kong Tong has been a long time project. It's received funding from several different sources, certainly a real strong cadre of folks in the Delta communities, physically located in Isleton, but I know that a lot of folks from outside the city have been involved in the historical aspects of gathering items and memorabilia and so forth that greatly enhance their opportunity to display that and make that known to the public. So at any rate, I'll ask for a motion.
This is Mashburn. I'll move it for $44,000 for the museum at Isleton.
Second?
I will
Gail
second.
Miller seconds. Oh,
So who got it? Brian, did you get it before Kathy?
yes.
Okay.
Before Gail, yes.
Oh, we forget to be with Gail. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So we have a motion by.
I'm sorry, who seconded that one? Was it Brian? I need an official second. I did not catch that because I was looking down. Brian,
Gail
thank
Miller.
you.
Oh, sorry, Jessica. Brian Cash.
Okay, we'll get Gail, you just get the next one. How's that going? Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call.
Very good. Oh, wait, excuse me, was there public comment? Excuse me.
I'm
is there
sorry.
any Public comment, Hope? Anybody on the phone?
No public comment.
Very good. Okay, go ahead, Jessica. Call roll.
Okay, Chair Natoli.
Aye.
Supervisor Burgess.
Burgess, yes.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Supervisor Mashburn.
Yes.
Supervisor Provenza. Jim, you're on mute.
Sorry, yes.
Board Member Miller.
Hi.
Thank you. Board Member Cash. And Board Member Winternitz.
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 8 ayes. The motion carries.
Okay, very good. Look forward to the work that will come out of the grant. So congratulations to all who worked on that item. And thank you again, Martha. We'll go then to.
Thank you so much. Before I move on to the next agenda item, I would like to ask James if he could unmute Lynn from the Isleton Museum. She just would like to say a very quick
Oh,
word.
sure. Okay, absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't
I'm
know
going to
they
do
went
that for each one of them. So.
Okay. Okay, very good. All right.
And you should be able to speak.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Lynn. Go ahead.
Excellent. So Don Natoli, we especially want to ask you, you've stuck with our project for many years and you gave Chuck Haas all kinds of support in the process. So you're a hero to Isleton. I want to thank you very much. Also, a thank you to the granting agency, and we appreciate all your efforts to work on this and to make any corrections in my miscues. So thank you. It's very, very much appreciated by me and the entire board of directors from the museum. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you, you and Chuck. I know have devoted a lot of your time, energy, and resources to this, along with a lot of other folks. So it's good to see the progress. I know it's been a labor of love for the community, and again, this will certainly be a good topper to the project. So congratulations, and thank you for being with us and for your efforts. So
thank you.
Okay, anyone else, Martha?
No, I think that's it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Congratulations, and we'll move down to item 11, which is consideration of the award of Prop 68 funds for the Discover the Delta Education Center. Again, Martha, you're up.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next agenda item is board consideration for the recommendation to award Proposition 68 funding for the Discover the Delta Center Planning Project. This agenda item can be found on page 48 of your agenda packet. Conservancy staff recommends that the board approve up to $223,456 in grant funding for the Discover the Delta Center Planning Project proposed by the Discover the Delta Foundation. This project seeks funds to review and update building plans and to process a new building permit. In 2009, Discover the Delta Foundation completed site and building plans for the proposed Discover the Delta Education Center. The project and plans were reviewed by Sacramento County, and a CEQA negative declaration, use permit, building permit, and grading permits were issued. Grading at the site started, but due to a lack of available funds, the building was not constructed. The project before you today will update the building plans with Sacramento County and obtain a new building permit. Located in Sacramento County at the intersection of Highway 12 and Highway 160 at the Rio Vista Bridge, the Discover the Delta Center Planning Project serves a severely disadvantaged community. Lastly, while the Discover the Delta Foundation does not have qualifying cost share, it is notable that they have secured considerable commitments of time, labor, donations, and support, including a $500,000 Proposition 13 grant in October 2019, $200,000 from the Hilton Foundation, and in-kind support from local businesses and individuals. Furthermore, the project enjoys wide community support, including letters of support from the Contra Costa County Board of Supervisors, Isleton Chamber of Commerce, Oakley Union Elementary School District, and others. Our staff is very pleased to recommend this project for board approval, and noting that there's suggested motion language at the bottom of the agenda item, which I'm happy to read. But before that, before we proceed, I'd like to pause for any comments or questions.
Any comments or questions on this project? Okay, I see some hands. I see Supervisor Burgess and then Ms. Winitz. Go ahead, Diane.
Burgess. Buddy, Burgess.
Burgess, Diane Burgess. That was Burgess.
I just, I'm really excited about this project and I'm glad we're moving forward. And I just wanted to put that on the record. Thanks. And when you're ready for a motion, I'd love to make that motion.
Okay, all right. Burgess has the motion already ready to go. So, but Leo Winternitz next. Leo, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I just, my question is essentially, do they have the funds now? Assume we grant the motion and they go through the planning process and all that. How do we know that, do they have the funds to move forward with the actual construction? Because this is the second time around with the planning process.
Yes, yeah. So it's anticipated, although of course it would have to go through a full proposal process and go before the board, that they will likely apply for a Proposition 68 implementation grant, as well as look at other funding sources. So they're not just relying on us to get that that funding, but I know that that's something that they're looking towards. So in the proposal, we do outline in all planning proposals, we ask folks to sort of indicate how they'll move from a planning project to an implementation project. And so there's some details on that, but on the future fundraising and different grant sources that they're looking at. But I will acknowledge that Proposition 68 is a grant that they'll be looking at further.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I should know, originally the applicant came to us with an implementation project that was to finish up the planning and then to build the center. And we decided that it was better if it was teased out so that we had the planning portion of it in one grant and then the implementation. So sorry for not mentioning that from the get-go, but that's sort of where we started, and to keep things a little bit simpler and just to sort of know what we're doing with each phase, we broke those into two processes.
That helps. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just know too that I know we had to do some work on the county end of it to, determine the use permit and, that had been actually it had been made solid because of the work that had been done previously with the both the grading work for the visitor center, but also for the a farm stand that's there and market that's there. And so we were able to do that, and took some work, and it took some time and some work, and certainly the proponents needed to sit down with our planning and building department to be assured of that. But that's been, as Martha pointed out, Leo, that's been done. And so they have the ability, they have the land use clearance to go ahead with the project. They received that some years ago. And as you said, they've been working on it, and then, funding became a part of the challenge. But they have a green light now as it relates to the planning part of it anyway. So the land use piece of it. So. Very good. Okay. Other questions? So let me see if we have any public comment.
No public comment.
Okay, no public comment. Sounds like Diane Burgess is ready to make the motion. Martha, I think she's ready to do that. So I don't need, unless you want to read it in the record. Go ahead and read it in the record then.
Perfect. The suggested motion, or the motion language, is to move to award funding up to $223,456 to the Discover the Delta Foundation from the Proposition 68 Community and Economic Enhancement Grant Program for the Discover the Delta Center Planning Project.
Very good. Okay. Diane, is that your motion?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Very good. Do we have a second?
Mashburn, second.
All right. Thanks, Mitch. All right. So motion by Burgess, seconded by Mashburn to approve the recommendations outlined. And if there's no further comments, then Jessica, go to you to call the roll, please.
Absolutely. So Chair Natoli.
Aye.
Supervisor Burgess.
Burgess.
Burgess. I have it written incorrectly. I very much apologize, but you may correct me till I get it right. RG. Supervisor Burgess.
Thank you. Yes.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Supervisor Mashburn.
Yes.
Supervisor Provenza.
Yes.
Board Member Miller.
Yes.
Board Member Cash.
Aye.
And Board Member Winternitz. I'm tripping here.
Yes.
Leo. Okay, so we have 8 ayes. The motion passes.
Very good. Okay. Congratulations again. I guess, Martha, you have someone on the line who'd like to speak.
Yeah, thanks. This is wonderful. James, if you could please unmute Ken from the Discover the Delta Foundation to say a few words.
Yeah, I'll assume the only person that's joined as Ken is the Ken that you need to talk to.
I believe it is.
I've
Morning,
allowed them
Ken.
to speak. They should be able to unmute themselves.
Ken, go ahead. You can unmute yourself. Hear us?
They're not unmuting themselves. I don't know if this is the correct Ken or if this was a different Ken.
I believe it likely is, but is Margit there? In the,
Yeah,
I think
Margit
I
is
saw her in-
joined.
Yeah, perhaps Margit could jump in.
Give me a
Margit.
second here. Margit should be able to mute yourself.
Thank you. I know Ken was planning to speak, but basically we wanted to thank the staff for all their work. This has been a long process, and as we said, started one place and ended up another. We want to thank the board for their support for the project, and we do look forward to working with the staff and the board itself in the future to make this project a reality. It's been a dream for a long time of many people. I think we'll make it happen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Margie. Ken, was he able to unmute himself at all?
No, I don't think he's unmuted himself yet. So he does have the permission, but I don't know if he's being shy or maybe he went away from the computer for a second.
Well, I know he and Margie have worked, certainly for many years, and Ken, has worked on this for better part of 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken, different aspects of it. So congratulations. And again, I think this advances the work significantly, and look forward to the visitor center actually coming to fruition in the years to come. So, okay, very good. With that, then, nothing further, we'll move down to our third Prop 68 item, and that's item 12, which is the consideration of the award for Prop 68 for the restoration of the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse and creation of the Delta Welcome Center. Martha.
Great. Thank you so much. So lastly, I'm pleased to bring our third project for board consideration, a recommendation to award Proposition 68 funding for the restoration of the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse and creation of a Delta Welcome Center. This agenda item can be found on page 52 of your packet. Conservancy staff recommends that the board approve up to $1,746,000 in grant funding for the restoration of the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse and creation of a Delta Welcome Center project proposed by the Friends of the 1883 Schoolhouse. The goal of the project is to restore the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse to create a Delta Welcome Center that will serve the public by creating a community gathering space and K-12 educational center, displaying exhibits to showcase Clarksburg's and the North Delta's environmental, agricultural, historical, and cultural importance. This final phase of the project will result in a fully restored building, interior and exterior displays, and landscaping. Of note, in October 2021, the Friends were awarded a Proposition 68 grant acquisition grant from the Conservancy for the land acquisition of the project site. In regard to CEQA, Yolo County, serving as the lead agency, has issued a notice of exemption for this project. The Delta Conservancy, serving as the responsible agency under CEQA, is relying upon that funding. Furthermore, although not located in a severely disadvantaged community, in keeping with the Conservancy's SDAC policy, this project will provide a direct resource and economic stimulus to the entire Northern Delta, including Isleton, which qualifies as a severely disadvantaged community. And we have letters of support to show their commitment to the project as well, I should note. Lastly, in regards to cost share, while the Friends of the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse, a nonprofit organization, does not have qualifying cost share during the funding term, it is notable that they have secured considerable commitments of time, labor, donations, and support, including the very substantial donation of the actual schoolhouse building to the community of Clarksburg in 2015. Since 2015, the Friends have raised over $450,000 in private donations and grants, as well as approximately $150,000 in in-kind donations. Additionally, the project enjoys wide backing, including letters of support from community members, area school districts, local nonprofits, county, state, and federal agencies. Our staff is very pleased to recommend this project for board approval, and I will read the motion below, but before that, I'd like to pause and take any questions.
Okay, thanks again, Martha. Jim, you're up. Go ahead.
Well, not really a question. I just wanted to say that this is a really exciting project. You could tell because I jumped the gun about two agenda items ago. But I toured the schoolhouse way back. I think it was in 2015. And this is a project that's long coming, but it's a gem in and of itself, because there's so much history in that schoolhouse. And to combine that with a center that will educate on Delta history in general and provide information regarding the North Delta's environmental, cultural, agricultural activities and history. I think it's just a fantastic opportunity. The community is very, very much engaged. It was Dan and Judy Serpa who donated the schoolhouse with the provision that it be used for community purposes. And this is clearly that. It's a community purpose, but also a larger Delta purpose. So appreciate everyone's support in going forward. And I did have just one question. We are approving a lot of historical or interpretive centers, welcoming centers at various locations. I think it would be great to have a map that we would give visitors that they could drive through and stop at all these locations and know exactly where to go. Because it seems to me that would be a good day or two to drive through and stop at all these centers and add some very important history to a tour of the Delta.
That's a wonderful idea. I will say the Discover the Delta Foundation, in their proposal, we asked for some sort of recognizing that we were looking at different centers across the Delta, and we asked that they do some research. So Margit and her team have come up with a list, and we'll work with her and the other grantees to make sure we're capturing the different centers around the Delta. But yeah, there's a lot of ways to get into the Delta, a lot of gateways, it turns out. So I'm looking forward to seeing them myself. I haven't been on the ground thanks to good old COVID. So.
Hey, I would just add to that as well that the Natural Heritage Area designation and all the planning that's going into that will very clearly sort of tie all these things together and make them very publicly available, or so maps and better awareness of all the opportunities in the Delta. So we all have that to look forward to.
That's great.
And visit CA Delta website as well.
I would, at the appropriate time, like to make the motion.
Okay, so we got Provenza in waiting for the motion, and do you have another hand up? Leo, go ahead.
But I just wanted to add to Jim's motion for the map, not just cultural or historical sites, but ecological sites as well, such as the Sisson Marsh Walkway.
Reserve, yeah, you're right. A lot of opportunities. I think the heritage area will help pull some of that together, along with some of the other work that's going on. So, good suggestions by both of you. All right, do we have any other Conservancy board members want to weigh in? If not, let me ask if there's any public comment. Oh,
No public comment.
okay. We have no public comment. All right, so I'll bring it back to the board. Martha, you want to read the motion before I?
Absolutely. The motion is to move to award funding up to $1,743,000 to the Friends of the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse for the Proposition 68 Community Economic Enhancement Grant Program for the 1883 Clarksburg Schoolhouse and creation of a Delta Welcome Center project.
Okay.
I so move.
All right.
I'm happy to second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. So moved by Provenza, seconded by Winternitz, and there's no further comments. Then please call the roll, Jessica.
Okay, this is our last vote. Chair Natoli,
Aye.
Supervisor Burgess.
Yay, yes.
We listen. Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
Supervisor Mashburn,
Yes.
Supervisor Provenza,
Aye.
Supervisor Board Member Miller. Yeah. Board Member Cash.
Aye.
And Board Member Winternitz.
Yes.
The motion carries with 8 ayes.
Okay, very good. Again, congratulations to all. And I think we can have a speaker on this one as well. So Martha, go ahead.
We do. Thank you so much. James, if you could please unmute Will Middleton for him to say a few words.
Will should be able to unmute himself. I've asked him to unmute. There you go, Will.
Okay, great. Well, first of all, what an exciting day. My name is Will Middleton, and on behalf of the board of the 1883 Schoolhouse, it's my pleasure to thank all of you for this wonderful grant. I especially like to acknowledge the Conservancy staff, whose dedication, guidance, and patience made what could have been a tedious chore into a positive learning experience for us. This, as you know, so far has been a 7-year project and involves many aspects of our community, including some 10,850 volunteer board members and cash donations from this board of $90,000. It's our intention to show our appreciation and gratitude for the validation of your vision by creating a center to showcase Clarksburg, the Delta, and Yellow County. Again, thank you. No worries. We'll do you proud, and I can take back the champagne. I don't have to take back the champagne, excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. Appreciate your comments. And again, congratulations to you and all those who labor so long and hard. And it is exciting. All these projects are exciting. Congratulations. All right. Anything further on this item? If not, thank you again, Martha. I know it involves a lot of work at the staff level. And again, it's a good day for the Conservancy and a good day for our project applicants and proponents. And look forward to the final products when they're completed. So, very good.
Great, thanks so much.
Okay, with that, let's then move down to item 13 on our agenda, which is the consideration of an amendment to the scope in terms of Proposition 1 Ecosystem Restoration and Water Quality Grant Program agreement for the Delta Working Waterways Habitat Restoration and Planning Project. And again, we're back to, I think, Dr.
Actually, excuse me, Supervisor Tolley, that's the one that we were actually going to pull from this agenda, and we will cover that next May. I don't think you were here when we noticed that.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. Okay, good. Well, then I read all that into, wasted all your time reading that into the record. So we're going to drop that item from the agenda, and that'll come back to us on the May agenda then. So very good. Okay. So with that, then we'll move down to item 14, the Conservancy Organizational Assessment. Campbell.
And actually, I'm going to pass this off to Deborah. She was most actively involved and looking forward to presenting the overview.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Campbell. Okay, Deborah, you're back.
Thank you. So I won't take too much of your time, but wanted to note that despite the challenges I noted when discussing the implementation plan, we really do remain committed to supporting and enhancing the strength and sustainability of the Conservancy as an organization, and that is one of our strategic plan goals and objectives. So toward that end, we contracted with Mission Consulting to assist us in conducting an organizational assessment. A little bit about that process is all Conservancy staff were invited to participate in an anonymous 36-question survey. That was followed by one-on-one interviews with Mission Consulting staff to explore those survey results and then discuss opportunities for improvement. So interviews were also held with staff that were leaving our organization during the assessment period so that we could make sure that their perspectives were included because we felt that was really important. Mission Consulting also reviewed key activities, process, procedures, documents, and whatnot to better understand our operations. But it really was a very human-centric process, and I think that was really appropriate given that our greatest asset and our greatest resource is our staffing. So they put those two aspects together, the sort of practical, organizational, structural type things, as well as the human-centered aspect of it. So overall, the finding was that the Conservancy staff believe we're achieving our mission. And I don't generally prefer to read out loud what you can review on your own, but I really do think it is important to highlight some things from the report. So I'm going to take just a minute to do that now. So from the report, the work, the environment of the Conservancy is characterized by mutual respect among staff and a strong belief that the Conservancy has the right people and capabilities to achieve its priorities. They're interested in and proud of their work serving the Delta. Furthermore, staff believe the organization is achieving its mission to support efforts that advance environmental protection and the economic well-being of Delta residents. This is an important source of strength for the Conservancy that, when combined with the executive team's commitment to improving, should give the organization confidence in being able to improve other aspects of the organization. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think it really is a nice summary of where we're at, and it highlights that we do have opportunities. And so even though we do have our strengths, there's always more that can be done. And the assessment did identify specific opportunities for us. And we will be reflecting on each of those findings and recommendations and identify specific steps to take and actions that we can implement as we continue to keep on this journey. And we will definitely keep the board informed as we continue down this path. So with that, I wasn't planning to go over specific recommendations or findings, but I'm happy to do that. I'll turn it back to the board for any questions or comments.
Thanks, Deborah. No, I think it was important that you read that into the record. I think for those that certainly tuned in, I may not have a chance to report, and I appreciate that sometimes this is a difficult exercise because in the midst of doing all the work and so forth, you're doing this assessment. But I think it does point out both our strengths and the areas where we can make improvements. And thank you for your dedication and time and attention to it. And I think it will help guide certainly Conservancy.
Well, and testing the organization and making the assessment at a time where there is a lot of stress on the organization and a lot of challenges on our resources and our processes is really kind of the ideal time. It's easy to do well when you've got all the resources and availability in the world, but it's a test of the system when things are difficult to see really the strength of the organization. And we came through it really well. Of course, more we can do, and we will continue to do that.
Well said, though, but I think it does show that, I think the mettle, so to speak, and, and the grit that is there to, get the job done. And even with, vacancies and or other challenges, we're able to, bridge all that. And again, thank you for your leadership. Again, I think this will guide the organization well in the years to come. So, yeah, let me ask any thoughts or comments, questions about the assessment and report. Okay. Well, I think it's a sign of some very good work, Deborah. You generated any questions out of this, so that's good. Okay. Very. Let me ask if there's any public comment on item 14.
No public comment.
Okay. All right. Very good. So that's not an action.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. So now we're going down to our updates from some of our partners here. And so first is item 15, which is the EcoRestore update. Charlotte Biggs. Charlotte.
Yes, good morning, Chair Natoli and board members. Thanks again for having me today. I'm going to give just a quick update on the EcoRestore program, but don't let my concise update fool you. We do have a lot going on. We're pretty focused on gearing up to begin construction on 2 projects, so I'm just going to highlight those, and that will be it for today. But again, a lot going on to get those ready to start construction. So the first one, let me get my notes here. Oops, sorry. So the first major project that I wanted to highlight is the fish passage restoration effort in the Yolo bypass, known as the Fremont Weir Big Notch. Its more formal name is the Yolo Bypass Salmonid Habitat Restoration and Fish Passage Project. DWR is partnering with the Bureau of Reclamation on this project, which seeks to reconnect the floodplain for fish during the winter season and improve connectivity within the bypass to the Sacramento River. So after many, many years of planning, we are looking to begin construction on this project most likely in early June. And we'll be working around the flood season the next couple of years and expect the construction will be completed by late 2023 to be operational in winter 2023. So that's our working schedule at this time. And we are tentatively planning to have a groundbreaking celebration out at the site in this summer. So if things kind of continue with the trajectory we're on with COVID and we're able to get some folks out on the site, many of you will be seeing an invite to that, hopefully in June or before it gets too hot is our plan. So that's some exciting news for us, EcoRestore team and DWR. The second project that we'll be starting construction this summer is Bradmore Island, which is in the Sassoon Marsh, and it's a project seeking to restore tidal action to about 500 acres. It's directly adjacent to Arnold Slough, which is a smaller effort we completed last year. So the 2 projects together create about 700 acres of tidal restoration in the Sassoon Marsh. So very exciting. We plan to start moving dirt on Bradmore probably by August. So we've got some work to get contractors in place and move through those types of things, but we are good to go on that effort. So those are the two projects I wanted to highlight today. We do have a few other that are working through final permitting and approvals, but it's a little bit more uncertain. So I just wanted to highlight the two that we will be starting this year, and I'll give you another update at our next meeting. So thanks again for having me.
Great. Thanks, Charlotte. Thanks for the update, and congratulations on those two projects that sound like to be underway shortly. Any questions or comments from board members? Seeing none. Any public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Okay, Charlotte gets out pretty easy today.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks for being with us. Appreciate your report. So, okay, if nothing further on item, then we'll go down to item 16, our Delta Stewardship Council update. So Amanda Bull. Amanda, good morning.
Great. Thank you, Chair Natoli, and good morning, Conservancy members. Again, Amanda Bull, Special Assistant for Planning and Science at the Delta Stewardship Council. Before I jump into the primary item I want to present and discuss with you, I'd like to just offer a few general updates from the council. First, Susan Tatayan, who has been with the council since 2014, has retired from state service. We greatly appreciate Susan's energy, ideas, and kindness over the last 8 years. With Susan's departure, the governor has appointed Julie Lee to the council. Susan had been serving as chair of the council, but until the council votes in a new chair, Vice Chair Virginia Madueño will be chairing the council meetings. The council's March meeting is tomorrow. The primary focus of the meeting is a public hearing regarding appeals of the revised certification of consistency for the Lookout Slough project, and then consideration and possible dismissal of issues of the appeal. The hearing is scheduled to begin at approximately 10 a.m. and there are links on the council's website if you want to listen in. The council will also be considering recommendations to appoint new members to the Delta Independent Science Board. And then let's see, the first Delta Plan Interagency Implementation Committee meeting is March 28th, which is just this next Monday. The primary focus of the meeting is a panel on cross-estuary collaboration moderated by San Francisco Bay Conservation and Development Committee Executive Director Larry Goldsband. Among others, Campbell will be participating in this panel. And a big thanks to Supervisor Natoli for chairing Monday's DPIC meeting, for stepping in while we are chairless. And then final, just general update, the council and the Delta Science program also has a number of seminars and workshops planned for spring, and I encourage you to take a look at the events page on our website to learn more, and they range from salinity to governance in the science in the Delta. So with that, I'd like to take just a few minutes to update the council on a newish Delta Plan Interagency Implementation Committee initiative, the DPIC Restoration Subcommittee, and I do have a set of slides. Thanks, James. You can move to the second slide now. So the draft amendment to Chapter 4 of the Delta Plan includes a new recommendation in support of Core Strategy 5, which is to improve institutional coordination to support implementation of ecosystem protection, restoration, and enhancement. This recommendation recognizes the need and urgency for getting large-scale restoration on the ground, multi-agency efforts, and also a forum for advancing this work, and directs the recommendation directs DPIC to establish an ecosystem restoration subcommittee, which it did at its October 2021 meeting. The subcommittee will provide increased opportunities for sharing ideas and identifying and addressing barriers to restoration while encouraging public participation in the process. You know, as you all know, restoration is challenging work, especially considering the number of agencies that need to be involved, the funding required, and the Delta as place and equity considerations that we absolutely must keep in mind. And so without a concerted effort to pull all these pieces together, we run the risk of a much longer, cumbersome, and coordinated approach to restoration. And so although the Chapter 4 amendment to the Delta Plan is still in process, staff and DPIC agreed that the time was right to establish the restoration subcommittee. Next slide, please. So to support the formation of the subcommittee, we are working with the Delta Conservancy, and specifically Campbell and Rachel, and have developed a structure consisting of the primary subcommittee, work groups as needed, and a regular forum to bring all interested parties together to discuss and participate in restoration coordination. In the short term, we intend to continue to work with the Conservancy to support this effort, and then in the long term, we do plan to seek multi-agency support for staff or a consultant to help manage subcommittee efforts. Next slide, please. So the first subcommittee meeting was held on January 31st, and we went into this inaugural meeting with a sketch of a subcommittee work plan to identify gaps in knowledge in restoration opportunities, integrate efforts with the Delta Landscape Scenario Planning Tool, and to assess the status of other efforts to tackle barriers to restoration and identify gaps. To help us better focus this work plan, the meeting agenda had two primary areas of focus. The first was to better understand the current status of restoration in the Delta. And to this end, the subcommittee heard a presentation by Council Senior Environmental Scientist Dylan Chappell regarding the Delta Science Programs project to identify existing restoration projects and gaps in restoration, and then the tools that can be used to support this research. And then the second area of focus for the meeting was a facilitated online brainstorming session to help determine areas for subcommittee focus. And subcommittee members were asked three questions. First, what are the qualities of a restored Delta? What additional restoration planning is needed? And then which aspects of restoration are most important for the restoration subcommittee to focus on and why? And so following this session, a work group was formed to take the responses to these questions and then to draft a vision statement and goals and objectives, which was drafted and then was taken to the March 14th subcommittee meeting just a couple weeks ago for discussion and approval. And so the subcommittee endorsed a vision statement for the subcommittee, which is a Delta ecosystem that supports the mosaic of natural and human communities, is resilient to stressors, adapts to change, and is accessible for recreation and related, and then also for related goals to help us try and reach that vision. Next slide, please. So moving forward, we anticipate at least quarterly, perhaps slightly more frequent subcommittees, depending on what we're focusing on. During Monday's March 28th DPIC meeting, DPIC will consider endorsing the vision and the goals and the objectives. And then from there, the subcommittee will begin to flesh out those objectives and start identifying actions for implementation during 2022 and 2023. And then we are also beginning to have discussions around the formation or around a spring restoration forum, kind of similar to what the Conservancy used to convene as the Delta Restoration Network. And so we're just beginning to work with subcommittee members to get that planned, and we're anticipating something in very early June, and we'll keep you posted on that. And that's it. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thanks, Amanda, for the presentation. Questions by Conservancy board members? We're going on the DPIC front, and appreciate Amanda's good efforts in that regard. I don't see any hands. Any public comments on the Stewardship Council update?
No public comment.
But it's pretty quiet today, Hope. I don't know. Okay, very good. Okay, all right, very good. Thanks, Amanda. Appreciate the update, and thanks for being with us this morning. So that takes us down to item 17, Delta Protection Commission update. Eric Vink. Eric.
Great, thank you, Chair Natoli, and hello, Conservancy board members. Just a couple of things I wanted to update you all on. Most of this related to our most recent commission meeting, which was on March 17th. First off, I want to give a big thank you to Campbell for both keeping our commission briefed when we met in January, and again at the meeting on March 17th regarding the drought response pilot program. We're very interested to see how this program will unfold. We hope it will yield good results. It's off to a promising start, and we're very interested in seeing the actual on the ground or in the waterway, so to speak, results coming out of that. So more to come there. Also on March 17th, we had a chance to talk with our commission members about a grant that the Delta Protection Commission will be undertaking. I think this will be of interest to the Conservancy as well. It's a Caltrans Clean California grant, and it's for implementing, or at least in part implementing, the Delta Sign Plan, which was a joint effort of the Delta Marketing Task Force, the Commission, and the Conservancy. And specifically, we're looking to install wayfinding and interpretive signs throughout the Delta, primarily located in Caltrans districts 10 and 3, which are San Joaquin, Sacramento, and Yolo counties. But we're also looking to see whether that can expand into Caltrans District 4, which is Solano and Contra Costa County. A lot of Caltrans districts covering the Delta. Anyway, more to come on that, but there will be a real concentrated push of work over the next year to get those signs both identified locations, and we've already made a decent head start on some of the wayfinding. We have a lot more work to do on locations for interpretive signs, and then of course what the interpretive sign panels will say. So we'll be engaging with the Delta community over that, and would welcome participation from Conservancy staff as well. And then finally, as is our spring ritual, we are seeking appointments to our Delta Protection Advisory Committee. We have our 5 of 15 slots that are up every year. We also have an additional vacancy that we are seeking to fill. And so more details about how to apply and be considered as a member of the Delta Protection Advisory Committee are on the Commission's website. And that's all I have to report, Mr. Chair.
Great. Well, thank you, Eric. Any questions, comments from board members on the commission report? See no hands. Hope, I trust there's a public comment.
No public comment.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thanks, Eric, for being with us, and thanks for reporting. So, all right. Next, down item 18, Delta Conveyance update. Carrie Buckman. Carrie, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks, Chair Natoli and members of the board for having me today. So a few quick updates today. Really, we are pushing quite a bit right now to release the public draft environmental impact report this summer. So right now it's gotten to the point where there aren't a lot of really exciting updates because we're just really in the weeds getting work done. But in the bigger picture, we are working now to try to start engaging people in the process to make sure they know that the document is coming and they know how to review. And so we are working on a number of outreach materials as well as outreach efforts. If your group or if you know of a group that might be interested, we are having speakers go to other meetings and presentations, sort of similar to what I'm doing here, and just let people know that the document is coming this summer and make sure that they understand that if they want to be kept up to date, they should sign up for mailing lists. Really, our e-blast is the best way to stay up to date on the project. We are particularly focusing on disadvantaged communities. So we're doing a lot of tabling at festivals or events. We know many members of disadvantaged communities don't have the time or bandwidth to come to Delta Conveyance specific functions. So we're really trying to go to events that are already being held, have a table and engage people in that way. As we move forward, we'll keep updated, but right now we are scheduled to release this summer. The Corps of Engineers is releasing the draft environmental impact statement this summer as well. It will probably be a little bit after the environmental impact report, but we are aiming to have an overlap of the review period so that people can review both separate documents at one time. And with that, I think, Chair Natoli, those are my updates for the day. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Carrie. Thanks for being with us. Any questions or comments by service board members for Carrie? Any hands? Hope, any public comment?
No public comment.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Carrie. Thank you for being with us and appreciate the update. So, okay, that takes us down to the close of the agenda. We have our potential agenda items for the May 25th, 2022 board meeting. So Campbell, you want to just cover that quickly and then we'll go to
very quickly. And I did just want to, regarding Amanda's discussion about the restoration subcommittee, I wasn't quick enough on the mute button. I just wanted to say that it has been a wonderful collaboration with the Stewardship Council. We really appreciate their inviting us to work with them to help define what that subcommittee is and how it will engage with the Delta communities. Just want to make sure you all knew that we were actively engaged and enjoying that process. So for potential May items, reminder, it will be a hybrid, so more information on that to come. We've identified just that we will likely have more Proposition 68 grants for approval. We will work in the Delta Carbon Management update and overview. We will be hoping to consider Proposition 1 Cycle 5 grants. I think we've talked a lot about resource limitations and new staff. We're going to strive to make that, but just want to make you aware that that may get pushed into July, but we will certainly keep you posted on that. And then we will also have the 2022 implementation plan for your consideration at that meeting too. So always welcome other thoughts or ideas about items that that want to be discussed. I know that Supervisor Provenza is interested in providing an overview of the YOLO bypass coordination agreement, which I think would be very helpful for the Conservancy Board to understand more about. So we'll try to work that in as well.
Great. So that will be on the agenda then for May.
We can do that. Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll be bringing back agenda item 13 as well.
Yes. Thank you.
Right. I've already read the title into the record, so sorry for that. Okay. Any other items suggested for May agenda, board members? Okay. Let's see any hands up. Then if any final comments? If not, we're to that point in the agenda where we're going to adjourn. Thanks everyone for your participation. Again, thank you to our staff. Thanks to James and Hope for monitoring our calls here today and keeping us moving. And again, thanks to all. Thanks Jessica Campbell and all of our staff. And we'll see you back then either in person or via Zoom come May 25th. So thanks again. Appreciate it. Everybody have a good rest of the day and good week. Thanks again. Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
We're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.